The Ravenquest Marketplace is where you can generate wealth, silver, and quest, but it is also a place where you can get scammed and lose a bunch of those silver, commodities, anything that you're trying to trade. So in this video, we're going to break down a couple tips that I use to try and generate the most silver and also experience for whatever your main crafting professions are or whatever crafting positions you're trying to level up. So let's go ahead and jump into it right here. So we're at the marketplace, and I'm going to talk about two different ways you can really bring wealth to yourself, either through XP or through silver. So the first thing you want to do is kind of consider what you have in your inventory. So right now, I know I got some apples, right? So I got 44 apples there. That's not my main amount of apples. I know I got a lot of apples somewhere. 382 apples. So apples are a key ingredient for a lot of the rums and other liquors, drinks that give you buffs like mana regeneration and health regeneration. And so these are typically good items to craft because people need them depending on what level they are. If they're level 32, these are great in the current stage. And so you want to try and, before you go and list anything, sometimes apples, just selling apples might be a really profitable venture. So like we look at how apples are going for right now, we can see that they're going for $2.19 a pop. That is profitable. So some people might just be like, okay, I'm going to list all my apples right off the back, put them down there. That's where I'm going to make the most wealth because it's only costing me 167 per apple I make, based on if you generate it through land. And so people are like, okay, well, I'll make quick profit there. Boom, good to go. Especially if you actually look at the order book. And this is what you really need to do when you're assessing what is the actual floor price of something. A lot of times people will intentionally put like a single or leave, like maybe you're scooping them up. So you'll only you'll buy like all of them but one. And then you unintentionally, right, or intentionally push the floor price down. And so people think it's a lot cheaper. This is great for people who are trying to scoop it up at a cheaper price point. But if we try to actually go a couple pages in, we can start to see the actual floor price is at $246. So it's really important that if you're ever doing these calculations or trying to determine what to list your products at, you definitely want to start seeing, okay, when do we actually start meeting some resistance in here? And so 246 is starting to look pretty big, especially once you start seeing orders of 1,000. Now, as the game scales, maybe 1,000 is not much. Like if we look at the potato market in particular, this one ebbs and flows quite drastically. Early on in the game, 20 used to be a very small, used to be the floor price. People were just trying to get some level of profit off of potatoes, and people would go and scoop them up in the thousands. And now you're looking at, sometimes this goes up to like 60 even. But right now, you're looking, is this really the floor price at a 40? I mean, you've got maybe 2,000 there sitting at 40, maybe 3,000 now. And I would say it's somewhere the floor price right here is actually around maybe 45. Yeah, I'd say it starts to get up to 45, but even then, this is still a pretty shallow order book. If someone wanted to just slam levels in alchemy, they could scoop up, 5,000 potatoes, potentially less than a couple 100,000 at the current prices here. So that's not going to be very expensive for a lot of these giga whales that, might have sold some really high-end gear. They're high-end crafting, or in my case, MOAs is where I make a lot of my revenue, selling tier 4s with the trade and abilities. I managed to make millions off of that. And so then we just go through it and we just sweep a whole particular product. And so that's something that you have to consider when you're really listing. Sometimes, you have to be, a little patient if you want to really maximize your wealth out of here. So you might think, okay, I know that potatoes will ebb and flow between 40 and 60. Maybe I put it somewhere around 48. And so you kind of keep double checking, where's the price where there's the most lists? And so I'm starting to see 45 is looking pretty nasty. So the way that the order book works is whoever places their order last at that number is actually who gets to who goes first. So it helps to be in front of all these players. So if I had potatoes, I probably list it at 45, and that would actually put us all the way up here around page number 7. So we'd be like right here. There's like a couple thousand in front of us. I think you could shoot through that pretty quick. But if I were particularly trying to make the most out of my potatoes right now, maybe 45 would be a good point. Obviously, you can also separate that into different orders, spread out your wealth in, de-risk or increase your risk more, depending on how risk appetite you have. And how much you need silver this second. So that's things that you can consider. But if we go back to our example of what we're trying to do, which is try to find a way to not only make profit, but also build up experience while we're doing it. So our main profession is cooking. And so rum is something that a lot of players are needing right now. So if we look back at rum, we can see that that the going price is $7.90. Now, is it the floor price? I'd say it's actually closer to $8.90, $8.98, and realistically, you could probably even push it further down. Something really important to understand also is what is the floor price for different qualities. So this is the nice artisan or superior quality rum right here compared to the regular rum, which has big benefits. So no one's going to buy this at $8.88 when you can get the same or a superior quality at $8.98. So then this means that basically I'd say both of these orders are effectively useless. And maybe if you're cheap, you go for the cheaper ones. But generally, most people will pick up the superior ones. So that's a big advantage for them. So if you're ever going to list a product, you're going to want to see, okay, where's the floor product or the floor price for your particular quality. And maybe you just can't make superior quality, so you need to discount it. And you should always consider how big does that discount need to be for the benefit that it's providing. So that's something key. We know we can make superior, so we know our floor price is $8.98, and maybe we think that rum's going to chew through a lot faster. If it does, it actually quickly scales up. So you can see that the rum order book is incredibly shallow right now. It's only 3 pages wide, so this is why I've seen this as an opportunity for me to boost my XP. And I can, if I wanted to, I could sweep all of the rum off of the marketplace right now, list a whole bunch of my orders, and that's what we're gonna play around with and try to show how we can take over the rum market real quick and then make some good profit in the next day or two. So, but that's rum. So, but how do you make rum, right? So if we go to our professions and we, show only unlocked for now, and we go down to our rum, you'll see that, okay, so it takes 2 brewing yeast and 6 apples. So we know that apples were trading at, what was that, $2.90, somewhere around there. And so I've already plugged these numbers in. So $2.90 there. The brewer's yeast is going for $7.90 current prices. So it's a little bit more. And then there is a tax, right? The tax is $3.99. So you have to add all of those together. But then the key thing to remember about rum drinks and some food is that these actually output 5. So a lot of times people might look on the profession screen and they're like, wow, okay, there's no way this is actually profitable. I'm not going to touch this. But if it's making 5, you need to divide that total cost by 5, and then you're actually making a profit with your rum. And so I'll actually be making a profit of 239 silver per thing, and that's buying it off the market. Now, I've obviously made a whole bunch of the apples myself in my my land, so I'm actually getting a significant increase in profit on top of that. And so this is where you can then boost your profession score up a lot faster by utilizing this kind of search, figure out what is in need and where's the demand. And so we're going to go ahead and start crafting some of this, but there's no reason to do that on this stream. We're just talking about how to play the marketplace. So that is for the high level idea that you want to do your research before. See if there's any wins that you can make money while boosting your XP. Unless you're just going for profit, and sometimes it's more profitable to just list the raw items instead of the refined or crafted ones, typically. So, but now if we're going to be just listing off some, let's just show you guys how, if I were just trying to create some orders, we'll go through here and let's say we have 1,000 blueberries. We want to get rid of those. We don't think there's anything good to put on there, or I don't want to spend time trying to figure it out. So we're going to try and figure out what the floor price is. Blueberries also go in massive amounts. So it's also important to understand the trade pack ecosystem, because if you understand what kind of quantities they're playing with, then you understand how quickly these get scooped up, because that's typically where a lot of these raw resources are being used. So in this case, you got blueberries, you need 535 of them. So even a stack of 1,000 really only gives you like 2 trade packs. So you know that these can be scooped up very quickly, and even at 50, it's a pretty low floor price. So we're thinking, you want to have like probably 3,000 to 4,000 between you, and then there's also the Sea Breeze rum, which is actually going at 104% right now. So that's a little bit of profit there for that particular trade pack. And what you also need to understand is that for particular items like this, the primed trade packs are actually driving even more demand. People will will make trade packs at a loss just because they're going to get more returns on the quests that they're getting from those prime trade packs. So that's something that you can consider when you're listing. So if we go back to the floor, we try and figure out where is it actually. And so I've only seen maybe 1,500, maybe like 2,000. It starts to pick up here at 55. And so you just got to remember where is like a lot concentrated on a single price point. And so 55, I'm already seeing 1,000 on it, another 2,000 there. So, and there are 3,000. So here we go. Floor price, we're going to say is 55. So that's actually what we think is floor price. Instead of what was the floor price all the way at the beginning, which was 48. So we're making a substantial more, and on 1,000, that's going to give you a lot of extra silver there. You list that for 55, you place the order, you're good to go. Now, I have a lot more blueberries I could list, and so maybe if I had like an uncommon and I want to list that, maybe I could put that a little bit higher. Generally, you always want to put the higher quality stuff up further, but here's the thing. In this case, people are listing their superiors, their artisan below. So for the cooking recipes that actually matter about that, this is not a beneficial thing to consider. So in this case, quality doesn't matter. It just doesn't. And unfortunately, that's the case. And sometimes it's even worse because when you have these small quantities, it's not a stack of 1,000, people might not want to go through and click, okay, I want 13 of this, 21 of this. People get lazy and they just want to go, okay, where's the first stack of 1,000? I'll just scoop up 1,000. Okay, it's looking like, oh, maybe I'll pick up that 347. That's quick. 200, yeah, I'll grab that. And then it'd be my 1,000 that I just listed at 55. But I think here's another important thing to understand. I am not at the front of the order book. This can happen for another reason. If you have already listed something at that price point, it will actually then concatenate those orders side by side within the ledger. So if you've already listed something at 55 and it was like a couple days ago and like 30 people have undercut you or listed at the same price, even if you place a new order, it's actually going to be back where you put your initial order. So definitely consider that. If you want to get in front of everyone, you could cancel your order and then repost it. Is probably what you want to do. You're going to lose a little bit of that tax, but then maybe you'll actually sell that in a reasonable time. So maybe one of those other stacks of 1,000 were mine, unfortunately. So right now, blueberries are not in super demand. I mean, once again, if we check the trade packs, even the best trade pack was only trading at 104. So that's something to consider. But so that's for commodities and things like that. For anything that has a cosmetic, you could sell this. That's always an option. And, obviously you can just go into this create order and you can place a sell order there. But here we're going to cancel out of this because I don't want to list that. And so, if I don't want these cosmetic materials, I could place it here. But cosmetics are a great way to build up your renown. So I typically don't sell mine, but I understand if you're early on, you just need some silver to get going. You can, crank it out. And once again, cosmetics, you don't need to really look like where there are thousands listed. Generally, that's just not going to happen because people list them in small quantities. So this, you can pretty much look for where the floor price really is, or what you can do is look and figure out what cosmetics do they actually build in. And specifically one that I know that I never really get rid of, you need like 1,000 of them, is the toad cosmetic. I actually don't remember off the top of my head, but if you get that one, you need like several thousand of them for a couple different cosmetics. So those you could list in the thousands. Let's just actually look at different cosmetics, and then you can kind of see where that kind of plays out. So is it creature products? It's like a gland, I believe, is what we're looking for. It's not. Okay, whatever. So we're just going to ignore all that. But so that's with creature products that are cosmetic. If they're cosmetic, you can list them, but beware that you just need to make sure they're good. And so I'll go through a couple more items that I'll list real quick. So we have 1,000 strawberries. We'll figure out what we think the floor price is for that. So at 1, we're already at 68. There's 850 at 69. So that's a decent scoop up. But once again, strawberries are okay to be in large quantities, and they're pretty affordable. So the floor price could actually lift off pretty quickly. So there was 2,000 at 69. So I could decide to put it at 69, but then I'm seeing a decent gap here at 71. 70 is light, and then 72's got some as well. So in this case, I'm probably actually going to, because I don't need silver immediately, I'm actually thinking, oh, but there's a huge jump right here. So after the 74s, it goes to 77. And so you want to look for gaps like this. And so in this case, I'll actually try and get in front of the 77s. So we'll sit there. I don't need silver immediately. If right before, you have to think of what day is it in the week too, because as we get closer to Friday is when all of the landowners are running their trade packs. So that's when they want to try and get all that extra quest from the merchant influence pool. And so they're going to try and slam pretty much on Thursdays. It's pretty much you build up till Thursday, and then you run all your trade packs right before the Friday server reset. And so that's when a lot of the market is going to pick up right before then, and then it's usually going to drop off on Fridays. So that's something that I've noticed and something that you should consider when you're listing your items. Okay, next thing we're going to list off, let's see, we got cabbage. Let's list off a whole bunch of cabbage. I'm actually only going to put this at a stack of 500 because I actually need some for my MOA rations, so I will be making some of them. And so we're going to go there. And so right now you can already see this is a clear bait that they're trying to lower the price of cabbage already. So if you were to accidentally throw it at 160, you basically just gave away a lot of potential silver earnings there. And so you keep scooping up and look at it go. It's climbing all the way up to 168. That is the actual floor price. And even there, if I were feeling a little bit more patient about getting the silver, I could easily push way higher, 170, 175 even. Maybe even the 179 right here. This looks really, really shallow order books. Now, these are way more expensive at 180, so you have to consider even 1,000 can be a huge amount to chew through. But since we are coming in to the Thursday and Friday, I'm going to go ahead and get a little greedy. I'm going to put it like 179. See if we can get that to hit. Nice 87K there. Boom. We throw that up and we're good to go. Let's check out our next thing. We got beans. Let's see what beans are going for. So we take a quick look at beans. Once again, we have a lot of ones, just trying to keep the price low. We have 111 there. That was a decent sized order, but beans are another thing that you need a lot of to make a lot of products. We have a lot of 70s here at 1,070. And usually if you have 3 pages of 70, you call it there. So in this case, I think we're just going to hit it at 70. And we're going to send it. Now, one thing to think of, there are people that will double check what is the quality. And if this isn't a cooking recipe, I would get under, they'd pick up this high quality or even this superior before me. So in this case, I'm actually going to throw it at 69. Not only do I get it in front of all those orders, but I'm going to get in front of all these other 69 orders, putting me on the second page. And so that's going to be really beneficial for us there. So we're going to put it at 69. And yes, we're losing 1 silver per each, but getting that a little bit earlier, I think, is a huge advantage. Now let's start talking about more expensive items like a watermelon. This goes for 538. These are a little bit lower quantity. If we look at the trade packs that use them, you need like, I think 20 or 30 often is what they're trying to go for. So you don't need as many to make an order. So these, I approach it in a little bit of a different way. 52 watermelons. So I'll look and see, okay, when's the first 52? So we have one at 540. So that's where someone would scoop it up. Let's assume that, there's going to be 4 or 5 people that want to do that. And then boom, you have this huge order at 540. So I know that that's going to eat up a bunch of trade packs before it even gets close past that. So I'm thinking that I might cut it below 450 or 540. So that's exactly where we're going to list that. And instead of dropping all of them there, because sometimes these can sit for a while, I'll actually just drop it at, I'll put 90, because I know there's another trade pack that does it for 30. So now I'm hoping that I'll hit one person who wants to do that 52 trade pack and one person that wants a 30 trade pack. And so that's where we'll throw it down at 539. And that'll put me in front of this order, and I'm on the first page. I'll be getting this payout pretty quickly. And then I just need to double check that if this goes through at any point, I need to go back in and make sure that I relist. So that's one of the things I consider when I'm kind of going through that. What other assets do we want to list today? Let's go through grapes. We've got a lot of grapes. And so there's already a lot of orders here for grapes. I think grapes might be in demand right now. And yeah, we're already looking at 3,000 just sitting at 195. So we're going to go and look at that. Blueberries already selling. And blueberries we put pretty high for those. And those 300 already gone. So that was an example of why it's really, our price point was really good there. For the blueberry or these grapes, we're literally listed at 195. We want to cut in front of that order and hopefully get those sold quickly. Let's go through cherries because we have a lot of cherries, and cherries are again a little bit more of an expensive item. We're looking at 370, so we're not going to list all of these in stacks of 1,000. That's just not going to be very easy for people to chew through. And we're already seeing quite a few, but look at this. This order book is incredibly shallow. It goes from... So this is one of the benefits of having a specialty. So cherries are a specialty in the farming. So if you ever go through and you have like your passive skills, you've unlocked one of the specials like cherry picking, that's a benefit. And we were unlocking chillers now. Sweet. So we just unlocked spicy. So that's good to know. But with the cherry picking now, we know that this is a pretty good market to be in right now. And so there's a potential that I could try and list some at this very high mark. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to list just 100 in case somehow all of these orders get chewed through, which I doubt. But just in case, we'll throw 100 there. That's a little extra risk we'll play just to see if we can get that. And then we'll list some throughout just to try and get a decent amount of revenue out of this. And so we're looking at... This is a pretty big order. 490 is tough, so I don't actually remember the exact trade packs that use the cherries. I know there's a couple drinks that are coming higher in the cooking fairly soon. So we got cherries right here, 25 cherries. Oh, that's not even active. So one thing you want to double check is go to unlocked. And so we're going to scroll through. The first one is cherries right here, 45 cherries. And so that also requires watermelons and grapes. We have 26 cherries here, so you're only looking at small orders for cherries. So in this case, I'm probably just going to list another 100 at 375 just to undercut that one, and then that we're probably going to call it there. And then I'm saving these particularly for a recipe once it unlocks in a couple levels. So I don't want to list all of them, but there we go. We'll list that out and hopefully get a decent amount of change out of there. We have a bunch of beans. Let's go and list some beans real quick. So we're looking at beans. Looks like there's been some market manipulation there. We're going to scroll up. In beans, you need a lot of them for a lot of these orders. So 76 is the first one. At 69, we're at 70s. I don't see any big orders in 70s. Big orders in 70s. So yeah, we're going to try and go for the 69. Yep. And so if we go 69, we'll undercut that guy at 69. And really, we're going to be on page 2, it looks like, which is going to be great for us. Yep, page 2. We're going to list them off at 69. Get them in in there, and we'll keep the other 1,000. If we sell that, then we'll list those as well. Now we'll go to onions. Onions, I think, are somewhere in the middle. 247. Decent sized order at 80. That seems really cheap. So yeah, quantities, 875 is a good amount there. I might be pushing 251 if there's a lot more orders at 251. Well, see, we might take a risk and push up to 253. It might take a little bit to get to it, but I actually do want that extra change. And so we'll put 400 here just to hold the line, and then we'll go ahead and keep the rest because that's in a couple of ingredients as well. For me, we're still holding on a lot of cherries, but that's okay because we also have a lot of uncommons. We're going to go to our peas. I think that's the last thing I'm going to list for today. And then what we can do, we have corn. I'll list some corn also. But peas already at floor price at 93, or maybe that's a stack we already did. I don't remember exactly. Once again, there's a superior right there at 93. We don't want to compete with that, so we're actually just going to list it at floor price at 92. Now, as we did that, the next thing I want to talk about is buy orders. So if you want to go the opposite way, maybe you're looking at different, the potatoes. Let's do potatoes. That's an easy one. Potatoes were going quite cheap, and I never want to buy potatoes. So when you go into buy orders, you search the thing that you're wanting to secure. And you're going to set a price for these. And so right now, the going price, the cheapest price or the most expensive price people are willing to pay is 1,000. And right now, there's one person that's willing to pay 1,000 for 33. If people wanted to, they could come and just literally offload all their potatoes at 33. They'd go instantly. Now, sometimes you can find orders that have not been fulfilled. And for people who are just getting started and you're looking for an easy way to make silver, you could go through and try and find buy orders that are actually above the current floor price. And you can just scoop them up and then sell them to these players. It doesn't automatically fulfill them. Sometimes I think it needs to be totally filled, and you can do partial fills individually. And so that's one way you can make a little bit of money. So in this case, I want to pick up some potatoes because I'm not going to grow potatoes. They're a 1 hour turnover. I don't have the time to mess with that. So I'm going to go ahead and try and order 1,000 of these. So we're going to get 1,000 and we're going to set that for 33. So then we're going to get in front of his order. We're going to pick up that 1,000 and hopefully we'll have a nice 1,000 potatoes on standby just so we have that whenever we want. So that's kind of how that side of it works. If we want to look in the marketplace for that in particular, like let's take a look at apples. Let's see what apple buy orders are going for. Because so we go to buy orders. And so the current floor price was 186. So that is the going price. I think that's actually the price of apples basic here. Let's double check. No, the cost is 167. So that is profitable. So if you wanted to just make money off of that, you could just by selling your apples directly to that person. But beware, that's one way people can scam you. I've accidentally done that when I went into a buy order because they list, when you initially go in there, it shows the cheapest. And so you might accidentally grab something like cotton, like on accident. You're like, oh, that's like that cotton's going for 20 a pop. Okay, you click that. You're buying or you're selling your cotton for 20 each on accident instead of buying it. So you definitely don't want to do that. See, if I was like, okay, yeah, I'll just do that. And then you'll So be careful. I've accidentally bought a shank for 50,000 silver. So that was an incredibly hard buy there. So something to watch out for there. The next thing I want to talk about is creature products. As you're playing through the game, you're going to see a whole bunch of different creature products, and you're going to be like, okay, well, what do I do with it? What do I sell? What do I keep? And so like most of these items will fit in one of three buckets. One is a material. So you can see it says material on there. Those are actually used in different crafting recipes, and generally they could have some value, maybe not right now, maybe it's later, because like in the early game, maybe you're trying to make, just simple gear, but then later on, these can be more valuable. Either way, these can fluctuate for various prices, and right now we're just looking at that. Let's look at time, so you can see a variety of them. But like, you have like a whole bunch of this stuff. Like this is for a journal entry that you can get, so you only get this if you buy it off of the marketplace, or you find it during that particular quest. Same with the Jolly Rogers; those can be valuable as well. But so these, you definitely want to check what the going price is. I know that like Ripper Fangs are one way that you can make some good money just by getting these. These are used in a lot of different crafting recipes. They used to be up in a couple thousand. Or you have the light metal frames. These are also really good, and you can get them from light metal frame. Okay, that's one word. I got my calves on. These going for a decent penny as well, because they're used to make and I'm on buy offer seat. See, this is where you make a mistake. You definitely want to make sure you're on sell offers. But these can go for a pretty penny because they're used to make medium ships. So you definitely want to double check. Maybe you got something that's really rare, really, really useful. So double check those all the time. Now, other creature products are just crap. That they don't have any real effect, like this low quality booze. You could list it at 20, but a lot of times it's just not going to sell. No one's going to buy that. There's no reason to buy it. It doesn't give you any benefit. But every once in a while, someone might do it and they might get scammed. So don't go buy low quality booze. It literally has no effect, but you can tell that it is a creature product that's just meant to be sold because it has silver in that bottom left corner. Same with like this warm ale mug going for 7, or this pendant going for 12. So that's where you want to take these to that NPC that you met during the tutorial. He will buy up all of these random items from you. Now, there are some times when you can actually make a profit, and we'll see if we can find one real quick. Sometimes people list them underneath their value, and it literally tells you the value, but they don't know where to sell them because sometimes they sell at a different location. And so we'll just quickly look through, and if you're just getting started, this is something you can make some silver on as well. It's not that profitable, and it does take a long time to find them out, and there might be people already scraping this, and maybe even bots that have actually already been set up to figure all this out on their own. But we're just going to try, and we'll spend a couple minutes here trying to find one that's going for a little bit less. But basically what you do is you look, and like this one's at 98 and it's selling for 120. There are people who list it a lot lower, and then you can buy it and then just walk over to that vendor, sell it, and make a profit. So that's something you can double check. And if they don't sell at that vendor, they sell at a quartermaster monk. So if you ever get something like, I can't sell it to that vendor, I'm just going to list it. Don't do that, because you can just bring it to the quartermaster monk, and that's where he will pick it up from you guys. But we can't find one right now. It looks like most of these have been double checked, and people are not making that mistake as often anymore. So that is the creature products. For high-end stuff like MOAs, I'll quickly go through my thought process when you're kind of evaluating these. Anything that has like, a secondary purpose, like these MOAs, they can breed. You want to consider how many breeds they have, what are some of the other characteristics, and for that you have to have a little bit of knowledge of that profession. And I am going to be dropping a video on breeding fairly soon, so you can understand a little bit of the mechanics behind this. But the other thing to consider is when you're done breeding a MOA, you can always break it down for 2,500 silver, at least the tier 1s. So that's one thing that you consider when you're purchasing these. But for MOAs, you can always buy them from a vendor down in the south. You can get those for 10,000. So generally buying a tier 1 is never beneficial unless it has more than 2 breeds. But then you have the tier 2s. Now they're going for 40,000. So something to consider here is, okay, this has 1 breed, and they can be broken down into attachment feathers and another product. So then you have to kind of figure out, okay, what is the value of the bird it's going to make, which is going to be potentially another tier 2 or a tier 3 bird. And then what is the price of an attachment feather? That's typically the more expensive one of the two. That's going for 10,000. So you already know that, okay, you could get potentially 2 feathers from it, and then it's also already making another bird. How much does that actually go? And so for MOA birds, that's one thing you can consider. And as they go up in tier, they get more breeds, and that's stuff that you'll just have to do a little bit of research on or watch my video for. But that is the general idea of the marketplace. Then we also have small glory shards. These are really, really powerful. If you can make 100 of them in a combination of either the small glory shards or having a medium, which I think it gives a few more, and then a large gets you several more. You can break those down into small glory shards, and then the combination of those, if you get 100 of them, it makes a trophy. Trophies are really powerful upgrades that you have, and they can upgrade all of your stats. So these can go for a lot on the market right now. I think they're going for a fair penny. I would suggest holding on to them as the game goes on. I can only imagine the value of these will keep increasing, but they're sitting at 5,000 at the time of this video. So that's something to think about. Then you've got creature, you have creature products, which are used for just other recipes. If it doesn't have that silver in the bottom left, that's because it is a creature product for something. You generally want to list them. You also have cosmetic materials. These can be useful for boosting your renown. So as you get cosmetics throughout the game, this will improve that. It'll change the way you look. You can look really good with these. But if you get these, you have to consider, do you want to list them or not? Some of them are easy to get. Others are really difficult. So it depends on what you're working towards. But even if you make a cosmetic and you're not in that class, it will still give you the renown. So definitely want to consider that when you're buying and selling the products you get. But I think that's all we're going to cover for today. I hope this helped you with your marketplace. I know it can be a little scary when you first get in here, but you just have to kind of look through the orders, make sure you're sorting by price per piece. That's important to sort through. Make sure you're buying at the cheapest. If you're doing buy orders, make sure that you're listing above everyone else and then undercutting. You can put some scam orders there. Okay, so that's all I want to talk about for the regular marketplace. We're going to jump into the currency market now. So we have our quest and our silver right here. So in this, if you were just trying to get, and I know it can be a little bit confusing the first time you look at it. So this one is you're selling your quest for silver. So that means that you're giving the quest and you're trying to get silver in return. So if you just type in a number, it's going to match whatever the current buy order is, the best one that someone is immediately going to fill for you. So that's what it is right here. So if you want to get that to sell that silver, that's what you're going to be doing. Now, if you think this is too low and you want to get more silver for it, you're going to click this create custom exchange. And just so you know, anytime you click this button, it's going to reset your current number. So make sure that you always double check that. I know that people are actually not going through and double checking, and they create an order and they give away quest. And I make those orders by just saying, hey, I will sell 20 silver. I'll create the custom order right here. And then what I do is I'll sell 20 silver for 1 quest. And I've had these orders fulfill many times. We can go through my history of all the different orders that I've managed to get out of just people not typing correctly. So you can see that, these are all orders where I got free quest, basically. So definitely watch what you're typing, because people do make mistakes here. And so this is where you really do need to make sure that you're typing them rightly. But if you think that that's too cheap, you want to go 1 quest for 5,000. That's something that you can do. And then be like, okay, I'm going to create an order there. I think that is a much more market price. You can see it's kind of maybe trending up. Right now we're in this kind of inflection point. Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? You can kind of gauge what your thoughts are there. Realistically, we're coming up on Friday, and so I imagine there's going to be a slight dip as more people get their Friday merchant influence from the landowner side of stuff. So there might be a drop there, and then it'll pick back up over the weekend potentially. But these are the kind of things you're going to be thinking of for the quest to silver, and then silver to quest. If you're just trying to accumulate some quest, this is where you'd try and sell your silver. And so I'll create an order. I want to get my quest super cheap. So I'm just going to list it for 3,000. All right, 3,000 for 1 silver. And so see, if you create that custom, make sure that you go back through 3,000. Make sure you're double checking that that's actually, you're not typing 300, because I'm assuming there's many people that are just accidentally typing incorrectly. And then, I want 1 quest out of that. So make sure it goes across the decimal. Cool. We'll place a couple of these orders because I want to have several of those. I think that's a good price point for quest right now. So I'll place a couple of those. If you wanted to, you could change your numbers just to make it quicker. Be like, okay, I'll dump 30,000 for 10, and you can create that same order. And these are all individual orders that you'll be creating at that point. For the priming certificates, you're going to look at it like this. One is buying the priming certificates or selling. I think this is a little bit easier to understand, but yeah, you're just going to try. I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to buy 1, and I think that they should only be a 2 quest is what I'm trying to buy them for. So we're just going to put a 2, and we'll create a whole bunch of these orders. And I personally think it's safer to make smaller orders. The way I don't think this order book necessarily works the same way as the regular marketplace. I think it works by whatever is the closest to the initial request. That one will go through, but maybe I'm wrong. But that's what we're thinking of there. And so then I'm going to buy 10 with 20 quest. 20 quest, and we'll create 2 orders there. So that's what we'll list that. Now for selling these, I'm going to list out some of these as well. I'm thinking I'm going to sell, I'm going to create a custom link here. I'm going to sell 2 trade packs and I'm going to list this for roughly 15 quest. I think that'd be a good amount to sell these for, if we can get a couple of those to sell. Whoops. And you know what? I actually want that to be 1 per trade pack. I think even at this price, I think we're making a profit, because you can actually sell trade pack, or when you deliver trade packs, my average, I get 30 quest per trade pack, per prime trade pack. So you have to think, okay, but then you had to get silver to buy all of those materials. So how much are you actually netting after the fact? And so I think it's somewhere around 15. So that's why I'm going to list it at 15 as the current order market for that. So we're going to make a bunch of these orders. And that's where I'm going to do it, just so that, because I got way too many. I haven't been able to chew through these yet. And yeah, I mean, we'll list a couple a little bit higher, just in case for some reason these do go through. And there's always a potential someone might try to buy 17 trade packs at one quest or something, and then those orders just go through and you get really, really lucky. So, but there we go. That's what we're thinking for this order book, and I hope that this kind of gives you a little bit more ease on the marketplace. I guess I'll talk one more thing about the infusions, something to consider on infusions. So if you're looking in the infusion market, these are a good rule of thumb is 1 silver per XP. And so this is crazy actually right here. I'm going to scoop up all of these. So this is going for 40 experience, but it gives 20. I'm actually going to buy this real quick before it disappears. You don't have the required item. I don't have enough money? Unable to find item. It's gone. It got scooped up immediately. No. That was such a deal. That's such a deal. Please try again and refrain from moving the item inside your inventory. Ah, man. Okay, so that was a deal. But either way, you're trying to get 1 XP per silver. That's generally a good rule of thumb. If you can get better than that, you're good. But definitely never buy like the just the regular infusions. Regular infusions, just to point that out, these are giving you 10 experience, but the minimum is 20. So you're getting less experience per silver. So definitely consider that when you're looking to buy stuff. If we look at War Bond, I don't know why it's not showing. War Bond, it's banned, sorry. Or banned infusion. So these are already at 20 XP for 20 silver, so that's why they're no longer helpful. So those ancients are a great purchase right now. And I'm happy I just double checked. So we'll try and scoop up some more of those. For some reason, they're not... Do I not have room in my inventory? What's the... You don't have... Oh, I'm on buy orders. See? I almost just scammed myself. If I could have given them 1,000, I would have just gave them 1,000 of our ancient influence. Yikes. Okay. So there we go. This makes more sense. So I think I actually just sold a whole bunch. There you go. Getting scammed on my video. Oh my gosh. Don't scam yourself, guys. Don't scam yourself. But yeah, right here, 40 experience for 45 silver. That's a great purchase. Or not a great purchase. You're looking for deals where you can actually make that back. So infusions, we're going to check some of the other infusions, and you can use any of these. So you definitely just want to double check them all. That's 60 for 70. And as we're getting closer to Guild Wars, these are just going to get more and more expensive. Maelstrom, these are usually really rare. And yeah, 550 for 950, not used for... Don't go buy those. There's no benefit of having them instead. Oceanic, sometimes you can find a deal. And right here, there we go. We got some deals. So we're going to scoop up these real quick. And you'll find that these can be really quite hard to get enough. Well, once you get into like level 50s, like actually infusing your gear to max is actually a pretty pricey endeavor. And so we're literally going to try and scoop all these up. And so what I should be doing is using that kind of idea of buy everything but one. And so that's what we're going to do right now. Buy everything but one. And then that way people will think that the floor price is a lot lower if they're not actually paying attention. And so we'll just keep kind of scooping these up as long as they're below a 1-to-1 ratio. And then we're at 126. So now we're back to that ratio of 125 to 125. So that's no longer valuable for us to go through. But we'll check out the other infusions real quick. Ornate. Sometimes these can be decent. 90. No, they're not going at all actually well. Infusion. Tidal infusions. Sometimes these can be at a deal. Nope. I was getting way too excited. See, that was like, what, that was a crazy deal. Okay, so that's all we've got. So there we go. Went through the infusions. So that's infusions. Yeah, when you're going through your raw materials, I'll just give one last tip, which is you should know what these kind of go for, the raw value of certain items. With wood, you can make a tree in a farm. How much does it cost to make that wood? What is the average? And then you have like all the other products that can be made from that, like shanks and cotton. Yeah, once you understand what the floor price is, you can understand what is a deal and what is not. So that's something to consider. But I think we're just cut the video there. I hope there was something you found useful in here. If there's some major tips that I missed, please comment them below. Let the rest of the community know how to better utilize the marketplace. I know there's like so many things that you pick up at the beginning. You're like, what do I use all this for? And that's something just to think about as you're playing. So I wish you guys the best. Have a great day. Caveman logging out.